Okay, so at this point now, you could, if you were going to reuse this engine as is, like say you bought it to replace an engine that was going in your car, you could turn it upside down and wiggle the rods and see if they're loose. I'll do that later after I get the heads off and make it a short block. We're not using this block, we're only using the heads. Before I actually take the heads off, I'm going to pull the exhaust manifolds off, because sometimes the nuts can be a little difficult, and with the engine, with the heads attached to the engine block, you can get some more leverage on taking them off. So I'm going to go ahead and take the exhaust manifolds off. First, I'm going to start with that EGR tube. I use a 15-inch adjustable on this. I know some people don't like adjustables, but I think that's probably like a 22 or something. Okay, now I'm going to get the exhaust manifolds off. And now we should be able to get the dipstick tube out. Okay, before I undo any of the timing stuff, I want to put this keyway either straight up, straight left, straight right, or straight down. What that does is that puts all the pistons down. None of them will be all the way up, because once you undo this, it could spin on you one way or the other and push a valve right down into the piston. And I like to put the keyway straight up. And now we can start taking the tensioners and the chains off and the guides. And here's the two-piece crank. You want to replace these. If you get the two-piece one, I recommend getting a one-piece and then the stamped steel reluctor wheel for this. Another way of knowing you have a Windsor block is the big W right there on the block. To get the heads off, I'm gonna work from the outside. I'll do like a quarter turn, and then I'll go through and do them all from the outside in, and then I'll do like another quarter turn all the way through and slowly kind of release the tension on all of them. And these are going to be on there pretty tight, so all right, I did one pass and basically broke them loose, did about a quarter turn. So now I'm going to do the same thing once again, same pattern. Now with all the bolts out, I should be able to lift the head off. When you get the gasket off, you can kind of take a look and see if there's any evidence of a blown head gasket. Same with on the deck surface of the block. So take a look at the deck surface. I don't see anything that looks like it had any type of severe damage. Might have a little bit of a leaking gasket. These engines had 18cc. It's quite a big dish on these pistons. And we'll do the same thing on this. Work from the outside in. Now with all the bolts out, we should be able to lift this head off. This gasket looks okay as well. And the block doesn't look too bad either that I can see. We'll clean this up and get a better look at it. Actually, we won't clean this up because we're not using this block. Okay, so that is pretty much it for the block. We've got everything off of it that we need, so now we'll just take the heads apart. Okay, so before we start taking apart our head, you want to have something to put it on, because some of these valves are open, so you don't want to lay it down. If you got like a couple of 2x4s you can put on the end of this thing, you basically just want to get it off the ground a little bit. The easiest way to get the cam and the followers out is to slowly release the caps, the cam caps. And the reason why you want to do it slowly is because some of these are still down, and so that's going to put pressure up on the cam. And there's dowels on here, locating dowels, and you can damage the dowels. So I'm going to slowly ease all of them, like do a quarter of a turn on all of them, then do another quarter of a turn on all of them, then another quarter of a turn, and it'll slowly raise this cam up, and I'll basically try to raise the cam up at the same time. I don't like to put cams in like that, but I'll take them out like that, but just be careful when you do it. Okay, so there it kind of popped over, the cam popped over, and you can see it's kind of in a neutral position here, so there's not really any of the valves pushing down. So now we can just go ahead and take all the caps off. If you look right here, these are numbered, all these caps are numbered, 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure they're all numbered before you start taking them off. And when I take them off, I still like to keep them in order and then put them right back on when I'm done. Okay, so I pushed all the caps down by hand. Now I'm going to run the bolts down just so the caps don't get mixed up or they don't get lost. Okay, we've got our followers. Put these in a Ziploc bag. These are interchangeable, so you don't have to keep them in order. We can also pull out our lash adjusters now. There's a couple different style tools that I like to use to get the valve springs in and out, and this one works really good to get them out. It's pretty fast, and I'll show you how that works. So there's two different ones of these. In this configuration, you would use this to put them on, and I've done it before. It's kind of tricky, but in order to get them out, you only use this side. And what you do is you take the opening and you put it over the top of the stem and you hit down on it with a hammer. I'm going to put this rag up underneath there. Hit down on it with a hammer, and that pushes the retainer down, and the little keepers are magnet. There's a magnet in here, and the little keepers go up inside there. Okay, so first put a rag underneath there, underneath the valves. We put our tool on there. Make sure it's centered. There it is. There's a retainer, and the keepers are in there. Now we can do the other one. Now just work our way down the line, get them all out, stack them over there. Now that we got all the springs out, we can start taking the valves out. Now be careful, because some of them may want to fall out when you go to rotate it around. I have a piece of tape on the side of the workbench. It says driver's side, and this is the front. So this is the driver's side head, that's the front. So we'll start from the back. I'll put the intake over there, and then the exhaust, and just kind of keep them all in order. Okay, so these should slide out pretty easy. This one isn't wanting to come out, and so you don't want to force them out. They should slide right out. If they don't want to come out, then what you got to do is file the end of this thing, because it's got a high spot on there, and you don't want to drag it all the way through the valve guide. So if you look on the valve stem, you can see the grooves where the keepers usually go, and you can match up where it's catching. So if it's catching right here where the grooves are before it goes into the guide, then you want to file there. If it's catching all the way at the top, then you want to file there. And so this feels like it's kind of catching right on the top groove of the keeper groove, so I'm going to file all around there. Okay, once you did some filing on it, you can check and see if it'll come out. Now it comes out. You notice I go straight to the big file. I've tried it with little files and it just takes forever. And so now we can take the valve seals out. This tool, I'm pretty sure I've had a couple of these. This is a valve seal removal tool, and I first started out, I used you can probably get them with some needle nose or something like that, and then there's other ones that sometimes these can be really hard, where they lock on and like you can pivot with them. This one I really like. I don't think I got this one at Harbor Freight, but it's got little grooves in it to help grip the seal. I think it's still on like 20 bucks, but I had to order it. It makes getting these things out so much easier. Now with the valves out, we can take a look at our valve seat area, and a lot of times the exhaust is going to have most of the pitting. These don't look too bad. I'll probably still hit it with a stone to clean them up, but the machine shop can do it as well. I'm going to take these to the machine shop, get them decked anyway, just to make sure we got a good seal. So I'll repeat this process on the passenger side head, and then put another row down of tape and keep the valves in order. And so that's pretty much it. These heads are disassembled and ready to go to the machine shop.